Good evening, folks. Calling the Committee on Ordinance public hearing Monday, June 29, 2020, at 5 p.m. to order. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Chairwoman Hines.
Present.
Vice Chairwoman Castillo.
Present.
Councilman Narducci.
Here. Here.
Councilwoman Harris. Councilwoman Harris is absent. Councilor Miller.
Present.
You have 4 present and 1 absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. I'd like to, do we have our solicitor with us this evening?
We do.
Etty is there?
Etty is here.
Can't see Etty. Oh, I see her. Okay. Hi, let's have a warm welcome to Solicitor Eddie Schwab. Thank you very much for joining us. We are also joined by Policy Director Sean Bouchard, who's in the room, our wonderful clerk Jen Emity, and our wonderful clerk Tina Mastriani, who is running the meeting. Okay, this is my first Zoom public hearing, so bear with me as we manage our way through this. What I would like to do is we have 2 items on this agenda, item 2 and 3 this evening, that we need to continue. Item 2 was not heard by the CPC, and we want to wait for that. Item 3, we have a little a notice challenge on that. So I'd like to ask for a motion to take items 2 and 3 out of order, to waive the reading, and continue to a date certain on specifically July 27. May I have that motion, Vice Chair? Castillo, Vice Chair Castillo makes that motion, seconded by Councilman Narducci. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Okay, thank you very much. So that takes us to item 1. Madam Clerk, could you kindly read that into the record?
In order to the amendment of Chapter 27 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Providence, entitled the City of Providence Zoning Ordinance, approved November 24th, 2014 as amended, to change certain text in Article 12 regarding the incinerator waste use category.
Thank you very much. Okay, we actually have a substitute for that item, a sub A. May I have a motion to accept a sub A for item 1? Motion made by Councilman Castillo, seconded by Councilman Narducci. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Motion passes. Okay. So, why don't we start out with Bob Azar? Could you kindly give us a little background on what this is all about, what the change is about, and what this ordinance would do?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Robert Azar, Deputy Director for the Department of Planning and Development. This is an ordinance that was sponsored by, I believe, Councilman Espinal, and there was a concern about having waste facilities and incinerators in the city. And the original proposal would be to eliminate the current use that we have of waste facility throughout the city. And while I believe it was well-intentioned, the City Plan Commission found that it could have some adverse impacts, specifically on facilities that are operated both by the city and by the state of Rhode Island, including the Narragansett Bay Commission. So the City Plan Commission, when it first took this up, they advised against approving it. However, I have since worked with your policy staff, Sean Bouchard, to try to change this in such a way that would make it closer to the intention that the sponsor had wanted to see, and in a way that allows for the city and state operations to continue. So this sub A is, I think Sean did a very good job of writing this in such a way that it would ban incineration facilities, which are certainly undesirable in the city, but it would still allow waste facilities that are operated by the state or the city to continue. So the city's transfer station at Ellens Avenue, the Narragansett Bay Commission, a water treatment facility would not be considered non-conforming and therefore hamstrung in terms of expansion or changes. So with that, the planning department is very much in support of this sub-A.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Azar. I'd like to also let the record reflect that we have Councilwoman Anthony with us this evening, and Councilwoman LaFortune has joined us. Anyone else, Tina? Oh, and Councilman Espinal as well is with us. Okay. So this is the public hearing piece of this tonight's activities. On the rise of the public hearing, we're going into a meeting, an ordinance meeting on the rise where we'll actually vote on a number of items. This is the portion of the program where we're actually soliciting or listening to community input on the matters that are before us. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask anyone who would like to speak on item 1, which is the matter that Mr. Azar just spoke about. If anyone would like to speak on that matter, could you please raise your hand? And the clerk will call your names in order, or unless you want me to do that, Tina.
We have Mr. Boudris.
Okay. So let's have Mr. Boudris, who has raised his hand to speak on item 1. Mr. Boudris, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chair Ryan, and members of the community for this opportunity to testify. I will be brief. I will certainly not take up the 3 minutes, I hope. Thank you, Councilman Espinal, for sponsoring this ordinance amendment. My name is Kevin Boudris. I work at Conservation Law Foundation. Conservation Law Foundation supports this zoning ordinance amendment, which would prohibit in Providence any facility that burns solid waste or medical waste, whether it's an incinerator, a gasifier, a pyrolyzer, or any other type of facility that uses quote unquote high heat to burn solid or medical waste. Burning waste is dangerous. Incinerators, gasifiers, pyrolyzers, and other facilities that burn trash release dangerous levels of toxic pollutants like dioxins, mercury, lead, nitrogen oxides, sulfur dioxides, and particulate matter. As Councilman Espinal is well aware from the proposed garbage depot that was proposed for Ellens Avenue, waste facilities like these are all too often cited in environmental justice communities. And those communities include neighborhoods like South Providence and Washington Park that are already overburdened by sources of air pollution and suffer from much higher rates of asthma and lead poisoning than any other communities in the state. Nationwide, 80% of all waste incinerators are located in environmental justice communities. Burning waste has no place in Providence. And this ordinance amendment is a step that the City Council can take to keep incineration out of Providence permanently. And as Mr. Azar mentioned earlier, the newly proposed sub-A does this without impacting other types of waste facilities like the Narragansett Bay Commission or DPW's transfer station. CLF urges the committee to approve this amendment. Thank you very much.
Very good. Who else do we have?
Unless you want to refer to members of the public.
Okay, why don't we let Mr. Councilman Espinal has his hand up. You'd like to speak?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the committee and members of the public. Thank you, Kevin Boudris from CLF, and also Mr. Rob Azar, Mr. Sean Busher for our policy office. I think they've done wonderful work to address some of the concerns that were raised for the First Amendment that we're trying to accomplish I think that what has been the end results for the work that was put in over the last week, it's an amendment, and which is good. It protects the interest of our local municipality in the state, but it also addresses the concerns of the public and the city. So it's a good amendment. It's one that protects the environment, which is in so much need nowadays. It's one that protects the health, and it protects the integrity of our community, protects everyone. So with that said, I asked the committee members to support it and to move passage on it. It's one that's going to ensure the public health, which is always one of our main priorities. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, we have someone with an exchange, a telephone number. You just covered it. Okay. 522. Telephone number that ends in 522.
Oh, that could be me.
Okay, can you please state your name and address for the record, Miss?
Linda Perry, Washington Park. I live on Alabama Avenue.
Thank you, Linda.
Good evening.
Hi. Can I?
You
speak
have the
now?
mic.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Very briefly, I just want to say thank you to everyone. This is a major step, the first really major step in the direction of a cleaner and greener city and neighborhood for us, for everyone. And we've had a rough year, and thank you to Councilman Espinal and everyone else that supported this amendment. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Okay, next up, first I'd like to recognize Council President Sabina Matos has joined us.
So noted.
Okay, we have an Eric Newton with a hand up. Mr. Newton? Eric Newton?
Oh, hello?
Hello, you have the mic. Hello, Mr. Newton? I think he's muted. Okay, well, maybe he'll come back. Do we have anybody else on this matter?
See no other hands raised? Okay.
Okay, well, why don't we wait a second because we lost Mr. Newton. Is there anyone else that would like to speak that we have with us this evening? Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay. Includes item 1, I would say. Okay, so that takes us to item 4. Madam Clerk, could you kindly read item 4 into the record?
Petition from Dylan Conley Esquire, Lamar Outdoor Advertising, requesting to amend Article 20, Section 2005, entitled Non-Conforming Signs.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's start out with Mr. Azar.
Mr. Newton is back.
Mr. Newton is back. Okay.
I'd like to proceed.
Why don't we just take a moment? We had a little bit of technical difficulty, I suspect, but Mr. Newton is back, and we would like to allow him the opportunity on item 1.
Oh, hello?
Yes, Mr. Newton, would you like to speak on item?
Oh, yeah. Hi, my name is Eric Newton. I live on 101 Apple Avenue in Providence. I'd like to start out by saying, fuck you, fuck you.
Okay. So let's move right along to item 4. Mr. Azar, Bob Azar, could you kindly give us a little background on item 4? Tell us what it's about.
Yeah, happy to, Madam Chair. This is a petition from Lamar Outdoor Advertising, and they have a proposal. What they would like to do is to take some of the large billboard signs that are visible from the major highways in Providence and convert those into electronic message signs. Currently, that would not be permitted under the zoning ordinance. And what they have offered is a mechanism whereby if they were allowed to do this conversion, they would abandon a series of other billboards throughout the city. So what this proposal would do is create a mechanism for that to happen. And the mechanism would be through special use permit, where they would have to come in front of the zoning board and describe which signs they wanted to convert to electronic message signs. And then they would have to describe which signs that they would want to abandon. So that's the proposal in a nutshell. The petition has been amended since it was originally submitted. There was a lot of discussion between the petitioner and the law department about how to do this in such a way that it would withstand legal scrutiny. My understanding is that the solicitor feels that it can do that at this point. The concern that we had and that the City Plan Commission had was that we didn't want, that we wanted to make sure that if this went into effect, the impact would be that there would be fewer billboards throughout the city, not more, and that also any signs that were converted to electronic message signs would not be any more distracting to motorists or residents as are currently. And so the conditions that are included in this ordinance, we think achieve that. So I think that pretty much summarizes it. You have the City Plan Commission's letter, and you have the revised petition that was accepted when we last met on this matter.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Azar. Just for everyone's edification, this is the second public hearing on this matter.
That is correct.
We actually sent this back to the solicitor's office to have the solicitor review the proposal, the petition, and the solicitor's office has done that at this point. We rescheduled another public hearing, which is this evening's meeting. We do have a letter from the City Plan Commission dated November 1, which was a part of the first public hearing, November 1, 2019. So it's been some time. It's directed to me, Committee on Ordinances. They basically make a recommendation that the council approve the ordinance subject to a number of conditions. And just for the record, I'd like to recall that the conditions are: the ordinance should be amended to allow for sign signatures to be altered as to not be visible from residential zones. The ordinance should be amended to be more specific about the brightness of electronic signs to ensure that they are no brighter and no more distracting than non-electric signs. And the ordinance should state that any altered sign would continue to be considered non-conforming. So those were the caveats, if you will, of the approval by the CPC. I'd like to ask the solicitor, Etty, if you can opine, please, on the amended ordinance. Has the solicitor reviewed the changes that have been made to address the findings or recommendations by the CPC?
Madam Chairman, my understanding, and I believe that either Attorney Conley or Mr. Azar can correct me if I'm wrong or mistaken, is that our zoning expert, Lisa Dinnerman, did work in collaboration to advise and revise and draft the ordinance that is currently before you today. And she is our expert, so I'm certain that she is confident with that current draft that has been presented to you.
Okay. Policy Director Bouchard, can you concur that this has been reviewed by the solicitor and the zoning expert within the solicitor's office?
That is correct. That's my understanding as well.
Okay, great. Oh, we also, thank you, Madam Clerk. We also have a number of letters that have been submitted to this body. It's a packet of letters from various individuals. The off-site opposition. Buried? Okay. All of the letters that are here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's a packet of 7 letters. I'd like a motion, please, to enter these letters into the record in for item 4. Vice Chair Castillo makes that motion, seconded by Councilman Narducci. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Okay, so the letters have been added to item 4. They are all in opposition. Okay. Anybody else like to speak on this matter? We have what is that? Bernie, Author, would you like to speak on this matter? Okay, get ready. Bernie, Author?
Hello, my name is Bernie and I am also an alcoholic. I am deaf, therefore I cannot speak.
Okay. We also have the
I guess people ain't got nothing better to do with their time.
Okay, who else do we have?
Councilwoman?
Yes, Councilwoman Castillo, yes?
Okay, before the people is starting to make concern about it, I have my own concern about this light, this sign, because
Okay.
I see a lot of accidents.
Excuse me. Councilwoman, we're going to hear this on the, we're going to talk about this in committee after this meeting. So this is an opportunity to have public input. I'm not seeing a lot of public input on this topic tonight, but I'm trying to make sure everyone is heard. Upon the rise, we'll address your concerns and your issues. Okay, we have a Michael Rowley. Yes, Mr. Rowley, you have the mic.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Hi, I'm Michael Rowley. I live on Willow Street in Providence. Yeah, I would just like to voice opposition to the measure. I have a few concerns about energy. So is the energy used to upgrade these signs from traditional billboards to electronic billboards going to be clean, renewable? What kind of energy impact is that going to have for Providence? And I'm also, my understanding, and I apologize, I wasn't at the first hearing about the issue, but my understanding is that the sort of the tit for tat take down billboards to put up new ones is based on square footage. I don't think that's an appropriate metric. I think what would be more appropriate as it relates to what the city cares about and what Lamar cares about is the average daily viewers. So I think that the city is doing a disservice to the residents if they don't negotiate on our behalf. And if the negotiation is currently equating square footage, I don't think that's good enough. The city should be equating the average daily viewers, and Lamar should make their proposal based on that. That's what I have to say. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for offering this on Zoom. It's very helpful. I apologize on behalf of all the disruptive comments, but I'm glad that you guys are here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments, sir. Okay, we have, who else? We're not going back there.
Terry again?
Is it? Okay. We're going to hear from extension ending 522.
Yes,
Extension.
hello.
Yes. Ms. Perry?
Yes, hi, I am here, and
Please
can you hear me?
state your name and address for the record before you offer testimony. Thank you.
Linda Perry, Washington Park Association, and I live on Alabama Avenue in Washington Park. I am concerned about this deal with Lamar. I don't think it's fair. But first of all and foremost, I believe that there is a safety issue that is not addressed here. Advertising is designed to draw your attention, and images on billboards on high-speed, high-traffic zones, such as the locations indicated, are a distraction for drivers, and the public safety, I believe, could be at risk. Furthermore, I see similarities between the use of a cell phone and diverting attention to a driver to the desired advertisement. And I'm asking that the council delay any decision, or excuse me, the ordinance committee delay any decision until a thorough and safety study is conducted by the proper entities to ensure that the safety of the entire driving population. I believe that we should not broker the deal such as this, square footage for square footage. I don't believe it's a fair deal for us, because they're going to put up larger billboards in high traffic areas, and they're going to have, the message could be changing, and they could have multiple clients for those billboards, which make them very profitable. And what do we get in exchange? We look like Las Vegas. And to my next point, the aesthetic, historic Providence, and visual pollution. As you enter from the west, there's a lovely brown sign that says Historic Providence. As you approach the east side of Providence over the river, you see our skyline, the historic east side, and new buildings, including our award-winning electric company. At this point, as we continue, we would be bombarded with lit-up billboards, even if it's only 5. We have a very short distance to our state line, and not the first impression we would like to give our visitors, nor what we want for our city. And the digital signs, well, I have a question. I was told that we had a decision that we were not going to put up any new billboards. I believe, like, one of the last zoning issues, that we were going to disband static billboards in general, and that we were not going to add new ones. But we have added several new ones that I know of, and I did submit some photographs attached to my letter. And yeah, and one of them is really big on top of a South Water Street building that obstructs the view of a new construction, an apartment building. And I'm thinking, why would they do something like that, So I don't think they have our best interest in heart, and I ask that the committee really, really think about opening up this can of worms in the future that would set a precedent, and I believe it's just not in our favor, and that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sophie, you have the mic.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, I would like to speak about what Chucky said. You stupid fucking old man.
Oh, please.
Okay, so I think that concludes. I see some of our old friends trying to get back in. Any other comment on this matter? Okay, I'm going to call the public hearing over on this item. We have I need a motion to conclude. Oh, did we accept everything that we needed to accept into the?
Yes, we have.
Okay. Motion to adjourn the public hearing?
Motion to
Made
adjourn.
by Councilman Narducci, seconded by Councilwoman Castillo. All in favor?
Aye.
I have it. Thank you all. We're adjourned. And we're going to set us up to meet as soon as we can get the technology going. So stay with us.